Welcome, my name is Isabella Brusati and I am the founder of Isabella Brusati Consulting. In my previous video I've been talking about social media strategy and the importance of aligning it to the business strategy, and in particular the importance of getting the buy-in from senior executive in your organization in order to be able to actually implement the social media strategy in a proper way. In this video we'll be talking about some of the most common objections that I have faced, and actually most of my clients have faced when proposing a social media strategy. Of course, these are the most common questions, and I will provide with some answers that would require some customization to take into consideration the circumstances of your company. So there is not one size fits them all, but this is more like a some food for thoughts that will give you the possibility to prepare for the most common objections. So let's get started. So number one, the most popular objection is what if our followers are going to say something negative or are going to criticize us? Well, my view is it's true, it can happen, but rather than ignoring it, we can basically be more proactive and actually take in charge of those comments. There is always someone that is going to be unhappy about our service, our logo, our advert, the way that we've used a specific color on our website, whatever it is. In some cases they will say your company sucks. In some cases people may be much more vocal. The important thing here is not to say something on the lines, this is not gonna happen, because actually they will be lying, because it will very likely happen that someone will say something not pleasant about your company and about the services that you're offering, but it's actually to focus on the degree of control that you can have on these comments. Because actually having negative comments lurking around the internet that have not been addressed is actually a liability for your company. So again, think in this case as social media as a sort of corporate governance for your company. Also because having negative comments that have not been addressed is actually more detrimental to the company than actually be aware and monitoring those comments and be able to address them. Some of the executives tend to say, oh well, but if they say something that we don't like, we shouldn't pay attention. Well, no, because that's not the way the social media work. If you start ignoring negative comments, actually your followers would notice, and the effect can be even more detrimental than actually addressing them. Addressing negative comment doesn't mean that you have to enter into an argument. That would be not the right way of doing it. It's actually to answer in a very polite and clever way. So for example, I think that your company sucks because I bought your chips and the flavor is rubbish. For example, I bought the vinegar and onions and I think it's rubbish. And what you can say is, we do appreciate your comment. We are really sorry that you did not like the wine and vinegar flavor. However, we may suggest that you try A, B or C. Or in some cases it can also be like, if we are really sorry that you didn't enjoy the specific flavor, we will be happy to reimburse you the money of the packet of chips. Something along these lines. So again, it's not actually being condescending, but it's not even being aggressive. And also don't go into the sort of fight, because there are people that actually are going to escalate. There are individuals that unfortunately are very unhappy with themselves and they will go on the internet, usually using fake names or using, for example, pseudonyms like, Sun15 or Angry with the World, etc. Address the issue, but do not get into a verbal war. That's not what you want. It's not worth it. So if someone is saying that could make negative comments about us, true, it can happen, but look at the positive. So how we can manage them and how we can address them, so that basically we can control this risk and this liability. Another common objection is, oh my goodness, but this is really a lot of work and it's gonna cost a lot of money. Well, in this case, if you have positioned your proposal correctly by addressing the fact that the social media strategy is aligned to the business strategy, and also it will provide cost savings, you will be in a position to show that the advantage, so the benefits for the company, are much higher compared to the basic pain you will have to go through. Also, you can show that the social media strategy is focused at first, starting small. It's something that I've also stated in my previous video. Don't start getting super massive big because you say otherwise I will not give me more budget. Start with something small that you can monitor and that you can actually get your hands into. Rather than having 10 different tools, start with 2, start with 3, but don't start with a whole lot immediately. Also because it takes some time for people, especially those that are not, they are a little bit more lurkers, to adopt the social media strategy. So you can actually tell them that you are starting small, that these are the projected benefits. True, you would need some resources, you would need some training, but the costs are lower compared to the savings that this initiative, is successful, is going to achieve. You also have to stress that this initiative can be successful if you have the buy-in of the people that you require. So again, the importance of getting a sponsor, the importance of getting change agents. But basically, again, you have to do a lot of homeworks before. It's just like selling every other proposal. So you actually have to show that you thought that through, and then most of all, the costs of the initiative are basically lower than the savings that this initiative is going to achieve. That is not going to be massive, so it's not going to create a lot of disruption. Yes, a little bit, but not something huge. And that if people are truly committed, this can be actually successful. Also, of course, in the plan B, take into consideration that if it's clear that this doesn't work, notwithstanding, you know, everyone supported it, etc., it will be closed down. Like in everything, when you have to implement a new initiative, it can go right, it can go wrong. Here the odds are much higher for it will be successful. But if it will not be successful because we started small, we will close it down and, you know, review the situation. But again, you know, be very mindful of basically showing that the benefits are much higher. And also be a little bit aware of those people that are over enthusiastic, because sometimes people say, oh yeah, I do it, etc., and then you don't have the true buy-in. So you really need people that are truly committed. That's why when you are making a proposal, try to get the sponsorship of a very senior executive, because this will make your life much easier. Another type of objection is related to the possibility that some confidential information could be leaked by the employees, or for the employees to say something embarrassing whilst using the official social media page of sort of Facebook page, Twitter, etc., account, etc., of the company. This is a legitimate concern, and it's very important that before you make the proposal, you work with the legal department and with the HR department. I would say more the legal than the HR, in order to work out specific guidelines that are going to basically show what employees can and cannot do. And the consequence, for example, for leaking information, it can easily happen also by using emails, by the way. Also the importance of the complying to certain style and to a certain etiquette. And with HR, you would have to work out the policies of course in conjunction with legal, and also the training. It's important for employees to be trained on how to use social media, but most of all you would have to get some people that are professionals, so people that know what they are doing, who are in charge of the social media accounts. I've recently dealt with some individuals who decided to get a consultant on board, and this consultant was really astonished because they said, well, you know what, they didn't even know who I was, and basically they gave me all the password of their accounts. I think that these people are crazy. Things didn't work out very well in the end of the day, and this person actually decided to leave because they said that the account was a little bit challenging at best, and this individual have not changed the password. This is the worst way of dealing with social media. First of all, you have to identify who are the people that have to be in charge. If you want a consultant to be in charge, fine, but of course you have to make sure that you got some legal documents that extend the guidelines and create a liability for misuse also with the consultant, of course. And with regards to the password, rather than giving them out randomly, you would actually have to have a strict guideline and protocols on who can get those passwords, how often the password have to be refreshed and changed. For example, things like don't get the same password for every single account. And also, if for whatever reason one of the professionals that is using your password is leaving the company, even though they do have a duty of confidentiality, they would actually have to so the team would have to actually have the password changed so that the individual that is leaving the company, especially if, for example, the individual gets fired for gross misconduct, cannot have any access to the company information and in terms of social media. So these are again very common sense guidelines, but it's absolutely astonishing how when programs and projects starts, the basics are often not covered. So for example, if someone says, but what if confidential information is leaked? Well, in this case, of course, an investigation will have to be carried out, and if it is determined that an employee has negligently disclosed this information, of course you will follow the normal disciplinary procedure. Then of course, depending on the geography where the company is operating, there will be different legal consequences, or actually processes and procedures to follow. But again, get ready. So think about these aspects before you actually go into a meeting and basically present your proposal. Another objection is, this social media thing, I don't care, I don't use it, I barely have a smartphone, it's useless. Well, again, there are people that are not very, let's say, technology savvy, which is perfectly fine, everyone can do whatever they want in their life, but if you are a business nowadays, you need to have social media. So again, instead of saying also our competitors have social media, which is not the right way to go, you can actually address the issue by saying something along the lines of our aim is to acquire new customers, and there are specific researches, better to get the data of course, they show that this percentage of potential customers actually use social media. So social media will give us the chance to be much more accessible. Also, if our potential customer, also existing customer, want to get more information, rather than calling, the good old free toll number, I don't even know whether someone is still doing that, they can actually approach us, for example, via our Facebook page, via our Twitter page, and the information that we are going to provide can be useful also for other clients or potential clients. So again, focus on the reach without saying, oh, if you don't use it, actually it's because you are still in the Paleolithic age. That's not the right way to go. It's actually more think about the business strategy and the social media strategy. So if you want to get more clients and if you want to improve, for example, your customer service, social media can help you doing that. How? by having a presence, by answering the questions, by having a dialogue, and also by basically being present and more accessible. Because if I go, for example, nowadays to a company web page, the first thing is, for example, I get information a lot via Twitter. For example, if you know, an order has not reached me, etc., the first thing that I do is I go to Twitter, I contact their customer service, and if they are good, usually within the same day the problem is sorted. If they are not very good, I can immediately notice it, and people talk about bad customer service. So again, it's just because the senior executive is not using the social media tool, it doesn't mean that his or her behavior is a reflection of the behavior of our customer or potential customer. So again, be very proactive and be very rather than putting people down, is more like saying, okay, I do appreciate your position, but this is what social media can do for us. And then, you know, with a good well-built strategy, you can show basically the positives. One of the other objections that I very often face is, but how do you know that it's gonna work? I mean, how do you know that this Twitter thing, that is Facebook thing is working? And actually this goes down to measurement and to KPIs. So, you know, without going into the details of specific software or, you know, platforms, etc., you can actually explain that there are some specific measurement that can be produced, a report that can be produced. If you got the chance to have some samples there, of course based not on the data of your company, because if you have not implemented a strategy yet, it's impossible to get, of course, this kind of data with regards to your company, but actually you can show them the kind of measurement that can be achieved, and the fact that they can choose the KPIs, so that basically you will be talking with the head of a specific department in order to determine the elements that they will be measured, and basically how you're going to do that. So who's going to produce these reports, what will be measured, the importance of implementing corrective measures if necessary. It's not said that you will get it right the first time. It takes time, because another problem with social media is that people think it's gonna go viral immediately. Going viral is not the norm. Again, social media is a conversation, and before I trust you, I need to know you better. I mean, it's not that I'm going to trust the first person that I meet on the street, right? I can have a little bit of a conversation, I can have a little bit of a laugh, but if they say, oh, well, you know what, I want to be the babysitter of your nephew, I would go, hang on, I don't know you. To a friend of mine, not a problem, but to a stranger in the street, it's the same thing. So it's thinking about, I have to build a conversation, I have to know you better and allow you to know me better before you will trust me. So by bombarding someone with messages on how we are great and how our product is going to do this, how our product is going to do that, nothing is going to happen. So manage the expectation of your audience in terms of internal awareness in the company, because things are not going to explode from one day to another. People will have to discover you. You will start attracting people that are in line with the message that and the style that you are portraying. And you may actually go like this, you know, sometimes you go up and then maybe you go down. So again, it takes measurement and it takes patience and it takes a strategy in terms of the content that you are going to distribute in order to build a volume and a mass. This is not going to happen overnight. True, there are some companies that were capable of getting a massive amount of followers, the famous case of Old Spice, but that's not the norm, and it takes some time before you will build your core followers and actually get your own insiders. At the beginning, most of the people will be just lurkers, so people that are just checking out how things are doing but they don't interact. and it will take you some time to actually move them to interact to your company. And this happens only if you got great content that is going to add value not to you directly, but to your followers. Of course, you know, you get the content in order to get more people to follow you and to be in a position to sell more. But first of all is think about the main point. What a follower is thinking is what's in it for me. Because there are so many channels, there are so many accounts, there are so many Facebook pages that I don't have. Why should I follow you and not someone else? So what's in it for me? What are you telling me that your competitor is not telling me? Why I have to follow your page and come back every day? So again, is get great content. I hope that this video was helpful to give you some ideas on the objections that you may face when pitching a social media strategy within your organization. In my next video, I will go in more depth with regards to the concept of social media as change management, and in specific I will talk about the myths that surround social media. Again, this is something that is going to be very helpful for you as an individual when pitching a social media strategy within your organization. To be honest, it can also be helpful for consultants if you're pitching a project to a potential client. Thank you so much for watching.